Today, I'm going to give you 60 tips to get out of gold in Apex Legends and finally reach platinum. After bronze and silver, gold becomes much more about mastering your fundamentals while slowly beginning to develop stronger game sense, smarter decision making, and better overall team play if you want to climb higher ranks. Also, huge thanks to GameStop for sponsoring today's video. I've been testing their new G7 Pro 8K PC controller recently, and one of the things that immediately stood out to me was how insanely responsive it feels in Apex. Basically, the higher the polling rate, the faster your inputs reach the game. And at 8,000 Hz, which is currently one of the highest polling rates in the market, while most controllers are still under 1,000 Hz, everything just feels insanely fast and responsive during fights. It supports that on both wired and wireless too, which is honestly pretty crazy. It's also an officially licensed AimLabs controller, which fits perfectly for competitive Apex play. I would highly recommend getting this controller. I'll tag it in the description and the pinned comment below. Let's get started. Tip 1. Always play with your team. If your teammate swings a fight, swing with them instead of taking isolated fights by yourself across the map. A decent team that plays together will almost always beat strong solo players who aren't coordinated. Tip 2. Know when to push fights, but don't overcommit if you don't need to. If you already have a strong advantage, keep pressuring them without blindly running into bad positioning. A lot of gold players throw free wins because they confuse aggression with overextending. Tip 3. Craft and respawn your teammates whenever you can, even during endgame. If you can safely reset your squad, do it instead of trying to solo everything by yourself. You'd be surprised how many more games you could win if you started doing this. Tip 4. Use your teammates' death pings as free information. If both your teammates go down, watch where the ping markers appear and pre-aim that direction before the enemy even swings you. This makes clutching up fights way easier because you already know where they're at. Tip 5. Don't overthink team comps in gold and below. If your squad wants to run fast aggro legends, just do it and get comfortable fighting constantly. These ranks are more about confidence and fighting ability than perfectly optimized legend choices. Tip 6. Follow up on your knocks immediately. Once somebody gets cracked or down, push forward and capitalize before the enemy can recover. Too many players get a knock, then completely lose pressure and let the squad res for free. Tip 7. Prioritize solos whenever you spot one. If you and your team catch somebody isolated from their squad, hard focus them together for easy KP. Free picks like this can completely swing your RP games. Tip 8. Practice your target switching during fights. If somebody is actively shooting at you, swap focus onto them first before refocusing back to the first one you shot at. This helps you survive longer and win chaotic fights way more consistently. Tip 9. Abuse Axel's ultimate while it's still strong. If somebody gets caught by it out in the open, instantly capitalize because it's basically a free knock right now. Because honestly, if you get hit by this ult, you're probably dead too. Tip 10. Punish split teams immediately. If enemies are separated from each other, force aggro isolated fights before they can regroup. Taking 3 separate 1v1s is way easier than fighting a coordinated full 3v3. Tip 11. Abuse map room on King's Canyon while it's in rotation. You get unlimited scans for both survey beacons and ring consoles completely for free as any legend. That amount of information can literally control your entire game. Tip 12. Don't be afraid of early 3v3s, especially in gold. With the lower RP entry costs, you can afford to take more early fights and build momentum very quickly. And if your team actually fights together, those 50-50 fights start to tip into your favor. Tip 13. Third partying is still one of the easiest ways to gain RP. But once you get your kills, don't overpush so hard that another team instantly third parties you back. A lot of squads die because they tunnel vision after a cleanup fight. Tip 14. Use cover in a push-pull rhythm. Hug cover to dodge damage, then instantly re-swing to shoot back before hiding again. If you repeat this cycle correctly, you'll win way more of your fights. Tip 15. If multiple enemies are chasing you, create distance first. Force them to run into your angle instead of panic fighting while sprinting away. Fighting on your own terms makes clutching hard fights way easier. Tip 16. Did you know you can get guaranteed purple loot with Marvins on Olympus? So all you need to do is to wait for the first smiley face to appear, then once you see that, you instantly interact with it for a very high chance of purple loot. Getting early purple loot can literally change your entire game. Tip 17. Sometimes resetting is more important than fighting. Grab banners, disengage, and bring your teammates back instead of forcing impossible fights. A successful reset can completely save your RP. Tip 18. Fight faster. Fast pressure leads to easier knocks, faster squad wipes, and fewer chances of getting third party. The longer a fight drags on, the greater chance other teams are headed your way. Tip 19. Prioritize evac towers this season specifically. With deathbox respawns now existing, mobile respawn beacons just aren't as valuable as they used to be. On the other hand, evac towers are still really strong for repositioning and resetting. Tip 20. If you can't deathbox respawn, prioritize regular respawn beacons instead. Regular beacons only take 5 seconds compared to the 7 seconds in mobile respawn beacons. That small timing difference matters a lot during stressful late game situations. Also, something I've actually been loving on the GameSir G7 Pro is the Gen 2 TMR sticks. They feel insanely smooth and locked in for tracking and recoil control, especially in those longer fights where you're trying to fully beam somebody at range. What's also really nice is they're designed to be a lot more resistant to stick drift over time, which means you can comfortably play on really low or even zero dead zone settings for super precise aim without worrying about drift ruining your inputs, which is something a lot of controllers struggle with over time. The mouse click style howl effect triggers also feel super crisp and responsive during close range fights, whether I'm hip firing with an R9 or tracking someone with an R3. Everything just feels really controlled mechanically. It also comes with a free month of Aim Labs Plus, which can honestly help with your aim even further. If you guys want to check it out, I'll have it linked in the pinned comment and description below. Alright, let's get back into it. Tip 21. When you respawn on a death box, you don't even need to loot it anymore. You already spawn back in with your ammo, your heals, and gear, so you instantly focus on repositioning instead. A lot of players waste time panic looting their death box when they should already be fighting again. Tip 22. Trust your gut when a fight starts to feel bad. If a situation looks terrible, leave early instead of trying to brute force something that makes no sense. Saving RP is way better than ego challenging a fight that you can't win. Tip 23. Use enemies' knockdown shields against their own teammates. Yes, in these lobbies, most players panic hold their knockdown shield, so use it as cover while shooting the enemy pushing you. This gives you way more survivability during close range fights. Tip 24. Abuse Conduit's new purple perk right now. Enduring Barrier gives you temporary shield while you're actively taking damage during fights. You can literally survive situations you should not be winning. Tip 25. To win endgame 3v3s, be the team that gets the first knock. Once you down one player, instantly pressure forward and overwhelm the rest of the squad. Most late game fights completely snowball once you knock the first dude. Tip 26. Stop taking predictable front angles every fight. Instead, look for small flanks while enemies are tunnel visioned on your teammates. You'll get way more free opening knocks this way. Tip 27. Set your audio mix to focused in the settings. It boosts enemy footsteps while lowering your teammates' footsteps around you. That extra sound clarity can help you with awareness and land you free kills. Tip 28. Help your random teammates even if their push looks questionable. If you're close enough to support them, stop looting or rotating and just commit to their push. Randoms are just going to do what randoms do, so sometimes you just need to make it work, and honestly, sometimes it does. Tip 29. Don't challenge enemy height unless you absolutely have to. Force a team above you to make the mistake of dropping onto you instead. Playing defensive, especially under height, is usually the way to win these kind of fights. Tip 30. Don't ignore Evo Harvesters just because you already have purple armor. Your teammates can still use those Harvesters to level up their shields too. A full purple squad massively increases your chances of surviving mid to late game. Tip 31. Use the Devotion right now, especially while it's really strong. Once that gun gets fully ramped, especially with Turbocharger, it absolutely melts people and can completely take over close and mid-range fights. And honestly, it's one of the most broken weapons in the game right now if you can control it properly. Tip 32. Rotate towards strong ring positions early. Look for spots with cover, height, or ideally both before other teams can claim them first. Good positioning can literally win games before the final fight even starts. Tip 33. Understand your role within the team. If you're the entry fragger, your job is usually to create space and get the opening damage or the knock. Strong teams work way better when everybody understands their purpose. Tip 34. There's only one time you should only give up height in endgame. That's when the last two squads are already fighting and you're about to third party them. Otherwise, keep your height advantage at all costs. Tip 35. Third partying works best when you play from the outside first. Pressure safely from range before fully collapsing once teams are weak and distracted. This helps you stop your squad from getting sandwiched in the middle of multiple teams. Tip 36. Learn to recognize when good pushes suddenly turn bad. The second momentum flips against you, disengage immediately and preserve your RP. A fast reset is always better than dying from a bad play. Tip 37. Your fundamentals matter more than flashy mechanics and gold. At this rank, winning is mostly about aim and positioning before advanced movement or crazy game sense. Master the basics first and everything else becomes easier later. Tip 38. Prioritize protecting your HP above everything else. Use cover, abilities, knockdown shields, or literally anything available to reduce incoming damage during fights. I like to call this the HP war, and if you're healthier, you'll probably win. Tip 39. If you want one easy movement mechanic to learn, practice mantle boosts. To do this, you want to jump right at the very end of your mantle animation, and you'll get a huge boost forward similar to the OG Super Glide. It's simple, effective, and incredibly useful during fights. Tip 40. Use arsenals together with your teammates for faster upgrades. You see, if your teammate is using a different ammo than you, they can actually help you level up your weapon and just hand it right back. That's how I upgraded this devotion and unlocked turbocharger with upgraded attachments. Oh, and also, one thing that's also been really nice in the games for G7 Pro is the 4 remappable back paddles because it lets you keep your thumbs on the sticks way more during fights. On my controller, I actually have the paddles set to jump and crouch, which makes movement feel way more fluid since I can wall bound, super glide, strafe, and still aim without constantly having to take off the thumbs off my sticks. It almost gives you the M&K style freedom while still playing on controller. I also like how customizable everything is through the Games Connect software, since you can remap buttons, adjust trigger settings, and really tune the controller toward how you want to play. And honestly, the transparent design looks super clean on the setup too. So if you guys are looking for your next competitive PC controller for Apex, I'll have the Games Here G7 Pro 8K linked in the pinned comment and description below. Now let's jump back in. Tip 41. If you're getting pushed and the fight looks bad, create space first. Back up, force the enemy to run into your angle, then punish their mistakes for easier knocks. Resetting the fight can completely flip a losing situation. Tip 42. Get comfortable using both of your weapons equally. Stop tunnel vision reloading one gun over and over again when you could instantly swap your weapon instead. Good players minimize downtime during fights. Tip 43. Practice recoil smoothing if you want much better aim. When you strafe left or right while ADSing, it naturally reduces recoil and makes your beam way smoother. This is one of the easiest ways to instantly improve your aim. Tip 44. Never start the fight first when there are 3 squads left. Wait for the other 2 teams to fully commit before you third party. This almost always gives you the easiest cleanup win possible. Tip 45. Punish respawns immediately. If you see a team getting brought back, you usually only have about 10 to 15 seconds to push them before they loot up. Fast pressure here can lead to free squad wipes. Tip 46. Prepare armor swaps before late game starts. Grab extra Evo shields from death boxes and throw them onto the ground ahead of time. Having instant swaps ready can completely save you during the final circle. Tip 47. Don't force bad angles. If an enemy is weak behind cover, use grenades or your legend abilities to finish the kill instead of over pushing into a bad fight. A lot of players die because they get impatient and force unnecessary swings. Tip 48. Use survey beacons for more than just ring information. Plan rotations, isolate teams, and predict where easy fights are going to happen next. Information is important, but what you do with it becomes even deadlier. Tip 49. Know when to hipfire and when to ADS. Hipfire at extremely close range, then ADS once enemies create a little bit more distance. A lot of players lose fights simply because they chose the wrong firing style. Tip 50. Constantly think about whether healing or pushing is the better option. Every fight changes second by second, so quickly weigh the risk versus reward before committing. Good decision making wins way more fights than raw mechanics alone. Tip 51. Don't try to be the hero in every fight. If you're weak, reset and play smarter instead of forcing some unrealistic solo push. Climbing ranked is about consistency, not ego plays. Tip 52. Abuse your teammates' knockdown shields whenever possible. They provide an insane amount of temporary protection during chaotic close-range fights. A good knockdown shield can literally win you fights you shouldn't. Tip 53. Don't just react to enemy teams. You want to be the squad that controls the pace, creates pressure, and forces everybody else to respond to you. More control usually means less panic and more wins. Tip 54. Never stay inside round 3 storm or higher. That HP damage becomes insanely dangerous and can kill you in seconds if you hesitate too long. Get out immediately whenever you can. Tip 55. Low ground can sometimes be stronger than high ground, especially because storm can force teams off height first, and while you're in low ground you're more protected for longer. So it's not all about high ground all the time. Low ground has its own kind of power. Tip 56. Carry at least 2 to 3 grenades. Good grenades can instantly turn a difficult push into a free wipe. And honestly, the nades you choose doesn't really matter right now. Tip 57. Prioritize early KP after landing. Getting fast kills early helps you gain KP quickly while also leveling up your armor to blue. These little strong starts make the rest of the game much easier to play. Tip 58. Early purple armor lets you dominate lobbies aggressively. If you hit purple before round 1 even closes, most enemies will be stuck on white or blue shields. Use that huge armor advantage to pressure fights hard. Tip 59. Valkyrie's ultimate has 2 insanely strong uses. You can either use it to fully rotate your squad out of a terrible situation, or scan around for isolated solos and free KP. And with a new ability to use your missiles while you're flying, Valk is still incredibly strong for picking off solos. Tip 60. Learn how to identify true god spots in endgame. The perfect position is usually a mix of 3 different things. Number 1, mid-ring, number 2, cover, and number 3, height. If you and your team can control that spot first, the win is probably guaranteed. So those are the 60 tips to get you out of gold, but if you're still trying to get out of silver first, click the video on the left hand side because that'll help you build the fundamentals you need before gold. And once you finally reach platinum, how do you actually climb through that? Because platinum is an entirely different world in Apex. So if that video is already out, it'll be here on your right hand side. These are videos you definitely don't want to miss, so I'll see you there.